Yo, what up guys, Beside here with some Fusion news coming up in game right now. The Incarnate Fusion has launched. Update your game, you'll find that in the game in the Fusion portal, and you can start going for our events and tournaments. In this video, I want to break down our Fusion calendar. If you're one of the few 1% or 2% of Raid Shadow Legends players who are going for this Fusion because of fear of missing out, or for one more reason, I'll tell you at the end of this video my own personal reason for going for this Fusion, so you can know that also. Maybe that would sway you to go for her, but the event just got a little bit more difficult. A lot of players will even be more skipping this event right now because they put a that extra 50 fragments that we need for her or need for the epics. They put it behind another summon rush. This event or this Fusion has 3 summoning events going on. Normally we thought it would be a hero spot or something that will get us to summon your Mortal Soul Stones to get extra fragments for one of these epics. No, it requires you to do 3 summoning events if you want an extra epic or if you want a chance to skip out on events. So what am I trying to say? This entire thing you see on this calendar, on the red, above the red right here, let me pick my pen, you cannot skip anything right there. You see, everything above the red, you cannot skip it. Then this part is for those players who are willing to spend money or willing to summon more of their saved up shards during a second summon rush. Today, Friday, we'll start with a summon rush. That's the normal one we expect to get 25 fragments from. So we're expecting that one is standard summon rush and it's a standard champion chase, right? So we didn't know how they are going to give away this summon rush of extra 50 fragments. As you can see right here, that's the extra 50 fragments. Now for free to play players, don't get me wrong, you do not need this extra 50 fragments to complete this Fusion. It's not required. It's normally chased after because players want to skip out on Artifact Enhancement 3. Players want to skip out on Dungeon Divers 3 or Dungeon Divers 2. There are events that are much more difficult that these days players do want to skip out on. And this is normally a way that when you get these 50 extra fragments, you now have the opportunity to skip out on 2 difficult shard, silver consuming or time consuming event like champion training. How many? 1, champion training 2. So you have 2 champion training also in this Fusion. So the standard things what we can see today, Fire Knight is starting the same time with Dungeon Divers. It's aligning with this, but normally this Fire Knight will cut across another event which is cutting across Ice Golem at the same time, because you can see the Dungeon Divers requires 2 events to complete 1 Dungeon Divers. The second Dungeon Divers cuts across the second Ice Golem. You can see, the first Ice Golem, you can see it cuts across Dungeon Divers 2, and Dragon at the same time cuts across Dungeon Divers 2 at the same time. So those 2 events will end with Dungeon Divers 2, Dragon, Dungeon Divers 2. The third Dungeon Divers will cut across, maybe you want to finish with a little bit of Dragon and continue with more spider farming at the same time to complete the third Dungeon Divers. So 2 Dungeon Divers for 1 2 tournaments, whether you call it Fire Knight, Ice Golem or Dragon. 2 for 1 Dungeon Divers. It seems like the new standard. Back in the day, we used to have 1 Dragon event, 1 Dungeon Divers, 1 Spider event, 1 Dungeon Divers, but now you normally have 2 dungeon events cutting it across a single Dungeon Divers because of how inflated the points in Dungeon Divers has become. Artifact announcements, Artifact announcement 1, 2 and 3 coming in, so you can do some gear cleanses as you farm these dungeons for new gear. And yeah, it seems like the standard Fusion. The only thing that seems out of the ordinary is this, how you can get this extra 50 fragments. That's the only thing that seems out of the extraordinary. Now watch out tomorrow if you're pulling your shards during this summon rush right here. You might be one of the few lucky people that, if you're pulling void shards, will get this epic champion Slickus Stripe Hide. So if you pull a Stripe Hide, you just guaranteed yourself the ability to skip out on 4 entire events during this Fusion. So if you're pulling tomorrow, or if you're not sure whether you want to even pull tomorrow, they've made it a little bit enticing by introducing a new 15x event, a progressive chance event, and I'll pop the champions on the screen right now. On June the 7th, which is starting on a Friday, you have a progressive chance coming up to get these amazing legendary champions: Prince Kaima, Rotos, Sun Wukong, White King Ankora. Hefrak will be the ones available from Ancient Shards and Primal Shards and Sacred Shards. One slot for any of these champions, including Taras the Fierce and Shuzen the Valorious, who you can get from Void Shards. So depends how, how many Void Shards do you have. It's not a 2x or anything, don't get me wrong. It's not a 2x weekend. Summon Rush doesn't normally fall within a 2x, right? It's the champion chase that most likely will be a 2x. So that's the one that most players normally want to go for, this champion chase right here. That's the one that we're going to be a 2x. So for the epics champions, you have Phoenix, Magma, Gogorab, Gembo the Dishonored from Void Shards, and Gala Longblade from Void Shards. So you have one slot for legendary champions, you have one slot for epic champions. And as usual, the Summon Rush might require you to pull what, 4 Sacred Shards, 5 Sacred Shards, depending whether they make it at 2,000 something points or 3,500 points, depending on where the Summon Rush points will be. It's an event, it's not a tournament, so that's it right here. So save your Sacred Shards or the equivalent in other type of shards to get these 25 fragments. Is going to be the first bottleneck that we want to start with. Now, if you're not going for this fusion, there is no need, there is no reason for you to go crazy on this Summon Rush. The only champion I see endgame players going crazy for is Rotos the Lost Groom. You're pulling your ancient primal or void shards that day, you have a 15x chance that Rotos might be finally yours, or a Prince Kaima if you're one of the few that still not obtain him, or an Hefrak. There are lots of good champions in that first day. It's just a one day, right? I think it's running. There is no other one. It's running for an entire 72 hours, this Summon Rush and this 15x champion. So that's the news I just dropped this morning in the Red Content Creator chat, and I just wanted to add it to this video. So now that you've seen the fusion calendar, they didn't make it any easier. They didn't add any fragments, extra fragments to Classic Arena. They didn't add any. They put these extra fragments on its own event entirely. These extra fragments used to be attached to Summon Rush that is existing right here, or attached to the second champion chase that is coming up. This one is not attached to any of the events at this top row. It has its own paywall, that's what I call it, because there is no way anybody who goes for this first Summon Rush is getting enough fragments to go for the second Summon Rush. Or if you go for the first Summon Rush and go for the second one, you can skip out on a lot of events. You can skip out on 2 events. So if you go for this Summon Rush, you can skip out on 2. Another big brain move might be, you see this first Summon Rush that is coming up tomorrow Friday, you can skip it entirely. Save all your what do you call it now? Save all your shards. Do not touch this first Summon Rush that is happening this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can save all your Sacred Shards, save all your shards, and go crazy for this Summon Rush instead. So this one begins to look a little bit more enticing for those players who want to use that type of strategy. So you go for the Summon Rush, but take note that might be 8 to 10 Sacred Shards to get 50 fragments. So that's a criteria, or that's a method that you can use to get 50 fragments, skip first Summon Rush. And what else do you want to skip? It depends on you whether you want to also skip the champion chase or one difficult Dungeon Divers event. But this for players who have enough shards, save everything, go crazy on Tuesday. Now we do not know what's so special about the Tuesday that made them put a summoning event on it running all the way to Thursday. We do not know. Is that a CVC? I don't think that Tuesday will not be a CVC. We just had a CVC end right now. So next weekend, Tuesday, is not a CVC. I guess it will now be a special occasion to actually summon champions. So we don't know yet the calendar what it will look like on next week, Tuesday. That's why it's looking suspicious that they put 50 fragments right here, because it might be an enticing event that makes you want to pull shots. So I might look at this Summon Rush by Friday and think it's not even worth going for, depending on the points requirement, and then save everything I need for this one. How many shots do I even have on my account right now? Let me quickly hop over to my account and take a look. Photoshop turn off. All right, 4 Sacred Shards. This is my main account because I went crazy for the last summoning event. I have only 4 Sacred Shards. That means I don't even have enough to go for this Summon Rush that is coming up on Tuesday next week. I probably have enough to just complete the first Summon Rush, and maybe the next champion chase will be 2x Ancient or 2x Void. If they make it 2x Void, it will be very, very high probability for most players to get the epic champion during the champion chase. So I don't think they'll make it a 2x void this weekend, depending on what the last one was. I think the last one was sacred. After 2x sacred, we have the 2x on primal. After primal, it probably should be ancient on champion chase next Friday. So that's the fusion plan. There's nothing special about it, like I said. And now for my final reason why I'm going for this fusion and why everybody is choosing to skip it. They sent us this free. Oh, this is actually new in the game also. The patch has been released, and if you're live right now, or if you're watching me live on Twitch, check out me on Twitch. I'll be checking out a lot of more things that was released as part of this patch, and this is one of them. The free gear removal for 1 hour. So I was saying I wanted to tell you the reason why I'm actually going for this fusion is because I want to have her as one of the faction guardians for a faction. Is what again? What's a faction? Fusion. There she is, Incarnate. High Elves. So I wanted to find out as an opportunity for me to complete my High Elves faction. If you go to your guardian ring right here, High Elves, you can see that I'm 2 away from getting that 10 speed for my High Elves faction champions, which includes the Arbiter, right? So that's one reason that wants me to go for this fusion. It's not like I'm going to use her. She's just going to go straight to my vault. And whenever I get a duplicate, because definitely Raid will one day give you duplicate of these champions you're skipping out on. And yeah, I'll finally add that to my faction guardians. And that's the only reason why I'm going to use her. I'm sure that the Raid community will look for ways to build her and use her in some special content. And I hope I find a use for her in the future. But for now, my main reason for going for her was because in case in the future when I get a duplicate of her, she'll become a faction guardian. So I know that we're very critical about the fusion, but here she is. If you want to also grab the epic champion who seems like a good one, I did a video on him, Sleek Goose Stripe Hide. It's not one that is worth getting 2-3 copies of, but at least you'll be able to do 2 copies of him, at least from the new to pro perspective, and from Headhunter's account, we can get 2 copies of this dude and keep one or do a +1 or something. It's gonna help in this Lizardman faction for sure if you don't have legendary options. All right, that's all that is happening in Raid this morning. Check out all the released in game as part of this what do you call this thing now? I'm gonna find it very difficult to find those filters, especially the filters. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, preset manager and fitting room and everything that did say that it's coming is finally in the game. You can find it there and try it out and see how you can save some presets and use it the game global and champion preset. I'll be trying all this on stream and understanding it for now. It's still new, so we'll have some learning curve before we begin to fully utilize it. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily Raid content. I'd love to know your opinion. If you're still swayed by this champion, the diffusion calendar just make it more difficult for you to go for this fusion, or you think this has always been a no for you and you never really wanted to go for it. I'd love to know your opinion about it. For me, I told you the reason why I'm going for her, faction guardian, or what do you call this content now? Cosity, useful in one way or the other. For now, it's just a champion we'll just get and keep because of fear of missing out. Later, guys.